Okay, today we're going to be looking at some body weight and light equipment needed exercises to re-stabilize the feet, knees, and spine, as well as some shoulder and arm stabilization work. So we're going to begin with tibialis raises and calf raises. So we come back against the wall. You need to be back all the way against the wall or tipping forward. We're going to take our ankles out to the maximum level of flexion. And then from here, we're just going to push into the floor first and then raise the toes up, hold them for a second, and then down all the way and up. You're going to do 10 to 20 of these, working up to 20. You want to be able to go to a point where the toes and the foot are getting some lift. If it stops getting lift, just stop there, note that number, and work to improve it as the weeks go on. The next move is the calf raise. So we turn around. Again, taking our ankles back to maximum flexion. I like to bend my elbows a little and push my hips in. This helps me reinforce the pushing the hips forward, squeezing the glutes together. And then we do heel raises. If we can do 20 easily with both legs, we're going to switch to single leg, tucking behind, all the way down, pausing at the top. Same goal here, to be working up to doing sets of 20 on each leg individually. Next exercise we're going to look at is the Nordic hamstring curl. So here we need something to hook our feet on for stabilization, or a person holding them. We talked about doing these a couple of different ways. One was the way we were falling forward, so we let the hips push as far forward as possible. We lock in the heels and we lean as far forward until we fall, catching ourselves and pushing back up to the top. The other way we're going to do it is we're going to come out until we feel those hamstrings engage, lock the glutes in, and then we're going to hinge at the hips, coming all the way to the floor if we can, and then pulling hard through the hamstrings to come back up. I like this method currently now. It's the best way to develop towards being able to do a Nordic hamstring. And the third way we did it was having resistance. So I have this blue resistance band here. And with this, I can flex the hamstrings, fall as far forward, and then pulling with the hamstrings to come back up again. But what I would recommend is the hip hinge version, where we bring the hips as far forward as we can handle, and then keeping them there as we hinge to kiss the floor, and then straightening back up, pushing the hips forward at the end. Alternately, we can have a resistance band tied to something low. Hook it around our ankle, lay forward, straighten that leg out, and then pull the heel towards our glute. Pause at the top, straighten all the way, and pull again. If we're doing the Nordics, we want to go for 5. If we're doing these, we want to go in a larger range like 10 or 15. Next exercise is going to be for the hip flexors. So with the foot tied to the resistance band, we're going to turn around, lay on our back, get some resistance, and then we're going to pull the knee as high as possible. Pause there for a second, slowly straighten. And we really want to go until we're tired here. Depending on the resistance, that might be in the 15 to 25 range. If we don't have our resistance bands, we can still work on our hip flexors some. For this, we're going to use something to elevate our back feet. And then we're going to do our reverse Nordic here. Pushing the hips forward, chest forward, we lean back until our butt touches our heels, and then leading with the hips, we come back to standing. Eventually, we can work all our feet down to the floor, or like this. Or if we don't have anything to help bolster our feet and that's too difficult, we lean back, and then we sit back, and then we come up strong. Again, showing the assistance. Really want to feel this on the top of the knees here, in the quads. Okay, so we're gonna work those two exercises together for 3 sets, the first 2 together for 3 sets, and then we're gonna move into our knee over toe lunges. So we want to have some elevation of the front foot, if we can. So I'm gonna take these blocks, put them here, and then we find a good comfortable base where we can drive that weight forward, or we want to sit on the front heel here while straightening out this back leg as much as possible. So we feel it strongly in the front hip. We're sitting on this foot and then pushing up. Eventually getting rid of the assistance and working our way down to the floor. We want to stay upright. We don't want to hinge forward. We want to stay upright and let that knee go forward while keeping this back knee high if we can. You can see how I failed. Touch the ground, then I'll bring it back up again. So those we're going to do sets of 5 on each leg, and we're going to get 3 sets of 5 in. So that's going to take out our lower body workout. We can do that as one full workout for a day. We're going to move right into the second part, which is the upper body as well. Actually, we'll show the calf stretch. So after we finish our lower body workout, we want to finish with a hip flexor stretch. So we pin the foot against the wall, we bring the knee against the wall, step forward, supporting ourselves here. We want to push this hip as far back as possible without arching. So if anything, we're curved forward, and then we straighten up as much as possible until finally, over time, we can hold ourselves here against the wall. We're going to stretch for 30 seconds on each side. Now we can move into our upper body work. So we're going to start off with the mobilization work for the wrists. So we plant our hands. Let's see if we can get a better angle. We're going to plant our hands and bring some weight on top of it, and then we slowly shift forward until we feel that end range of motion reached, the pinching in the wrist. Then we come back, then we lift the palms, and we'll pulse 5 of these. After we go through 5, we can flip the hand around, and we're going to rise up to the knuckles, down, up, down. We'll do 5 here to prime the wrist for what's coming next, which is a single hand. Put some weight on that and push as much through that wrist as possible. And then work the single arm wrist flexion, 5 on each side. If we feel confident with this, we can try to do both at the same time. Again, the hips here really control most of the weight. A lot of it's just rocking back and forth. We don't want to put a painful load on the wrist. We just want to become comfortable at that end range of motion. If you want, you can play around all the way with going up to the tips of the fingers to really work that full length of the muscle. Likewise here, you can come all the way up to the fingertips to really get the hand and wrist muscles going. 10 pounds. And we're gonna bring the weight forward by hinging a bit forward. We can really hinge any amount we want with a flat back. I'm just gonna pick a nice weight for the view. And then we're gonna allow our shoulder to lower down, and we're gonna pull it all the way back, trying to get that hand behind the nipple, and then lowering it down. We don't wanna lift up here. We wanna pull it back, and then let it go down. To over accentuate the motion, we can turn to lower that arm, that shoulder, and then pulling it really high. So we'll go for between 8 and 10 reps here, nice and slow on the way down, controlled on the way up. Next move we're going to work on is our overhead press. The way we want to do this is focusing on shoulder position. So we're going to bring the weight up, then we're going to rotate it out. That way the elbow is as far back as possible, and this space here is nice and open. We should feel our lat here on the side of our rib cage really pinching. Then from here, pushing into that foot that is bearing the weight, we're going to extend the arm all the way up overhead and pull it again out wide. Pull that neck back, tuck the chin, straighten the arm, pull it down. So I'm going to over accentuate this because this is also a nice valid move where we really pull that elbow into the hip, flex it in tight to the rib cage, and then as if we're pushing it and throwing it out up overhead, expanding that rib cage. So that's the pattern that we're connecting to and working with here, trying to coordinate the whole body through this motion. The overhead press, we're going to be working more in the 5 reps of 5, working up to 10 range. And so you can go between your upright rows and your overhead presses. Do 3 sets of that. The wrist work, you just do 1 set to warm up the elbows and the wrists, and then you let the 2 lifts work out there. That is it for our nice total body workout. Again, you can break that up into two pieces, leg day, the arm day if you like, or you can go straight through.